Assalamu alaikum everybody. I am Dr. Hamidullah Niazi, and today we are going to study about the new topic, that is lot by lot acceptance sampling for the attribute. This is chapter number 14 of your book, and in some edition it is chapter number 15. Okay. Today we are going to study about the following topics, in which first of all we will study what is the role of acceptance sampling in the quality control, and understanding of the advantages and disadvantages of the sampling, type of sampling plan. First we will study about a single sampling plan, then about double sampling plan, and we will also study about the operating characteristic curves. Then we will study about the effects of n and number of sample size, that is sample size, and the C acceptance number on the OC curve, how the N and C affects the OC curves and its shape. Subsequently, we are going to study about the acceptance quality level and lot tolerance percent defective and consumer versus producer risk. We are also going to discuss about the rectifying inspection, how to rectify the inspection if the lots are rejected, how can we rectify our inspection plan. Every outgoing quality we will be studying after the rectifying inspection plan, because AOQ is just part of the rectifying plan. Okay, and we will also study another approach, average total inspection, if we are going to use the rectifying inspection. Then we are going to study about the double sampling plan, how can we use the switching rules for different inspection, normal, tightened or reduced inspection, and we will study about the type B and type C OC curves, and finally we will conclude the topic. Okay, coming to the acceptance sampling problem, generally acceptance sampling is used to put a disposal, or maybe you can say lot sentencing, just give some verdict on the any lot which is being presented for the inspection. So acceptance lots are put into the production, and rejected lot may be returned to the supplier, or may be subjected to the other lot disposition action. For example, we may rectify it also. Sampling method may also be used during various stages of the production, and the three aspects of sampling are very important. It is the purpose of acceptance sampling to sentence a lot. If you look at this one, sentencing a lot means how you are going to put a disposal about that lot. Maybe lot is accepted or rejected, and not to estimate the lot quality. We are not going to estimate the quality, or we are not going to incorporate the quality, but it is just a kind of you can say tool, which is auditing tool now. Acceptance sampling plan do not provide any direct form of quality control. They do not give any direct form of quality control, but they are just being used to simply accept the lot or reject the lots. Even if all the lots are of the same quality, sampling will accept some lots and rejects others, the accepted lot being no better than the rejected ones. That is basically indicating you a hint about the type 1 and type 2 error, which we will study later on. Process control are used to control and systematically improve the quality, but acceptance sampling is not. The process control which we studied at the SPCs, they are used to control the quality, but acceptance sampling is simply an auditing tool. It is not going to improve the quality. It is just to give you a hint about the whether to accept the lot or reject the lot. Most effective use of acceptance sampling plans is not to inspect the quality into the product, but rather as an audit tool, that we have already discussed. Okay, acceptance sampling plan usefulness. When the acceptance sampling is useful, first one, when the testing is destructive. If the testing is destructive and you are doing the acceptance sampling, that means every component will be tested by destructive action, so there will be no part left. So you would not do every part to be inspected for the destructive purpose, and which will be leaving no part with you. That means you have to do the acceptance sampling where the testing is destructive. That means few component can be taken for the destructive by taking that sample, and then you can put a disposal, or you can sentence the lot whether acceptable or not. When the cost of 100% inspection is extremely high. Second is when the cost of inspection 100% is going to be very high. Of course, sampling is very good, because some parts cannot be inspected 100% because the production is so vast, and production is maybe mass production. You are producing lots of component in maybe in one shift or maybe in 1 hour. You are not going to able to inspect the quality by taking 100% inspection. So the sampling is the best way to do that. When 100% inspection is not technologically feasible or would require so much calendar time that production scheduling would be seriously impacted. Is the third usefulness of this acceptance sampling plan. When there are many items to be inspected, an inspection error rate is sufficiently high that 100% inspection might cause even higher percentage of defective units to be passed than would occur with the use of sampling plan. If the item which are being inspected, they are very large, and inspection error rate is also high, then you can 100% inspection might be a very troublesome situation. So you will prefer to use the acceptance sampling, because here you use only sample size and you do not inspect the 100%. When the supplier has excellent quality history and some reduction in the inspection from 100% is desired, but supplier process capability is sufficiently low as to make no inspection an unsatisfactory alternative. So this is also in a good way that supplier might be having good quality history, but some reduction inspection from the 100% if it is desired, then you may go for the inspection, the acceptance sampling plan. So when there is a last usefulness is when there is a potential serious product liability risk, and although the supplier process is satisfactory, a program to continuously monitoring the product is necessary. When there are potentially very serious, in fact, liabilities risk available, in that case you may go for the acceptance sampling. Okay, coming to the advantages, disadvantages of sampling plan. Following are the few advantages, and there are 3 disadvantages. First one is advantage is the usually less expensive because there is a less inspection. There is a less handling of product, of course, and reduced damage. It is applicable to destructive testing, and fewer inspections are involved in the inspection activities. It often greatly reduces the amount of inspection error, and rejection of the entire lot are opposed to the simple return of defective often provides a stronger motivation to supplier for the quality improvement. Acceptance sampling also has some disadvantages, and these disadvantages are like, for example, there is the risk of accepting bad lot and rejecting a good one. That is a type 1 error, type 2 error, which we call it a alpha risk and the beta risk. The less information is usually generated about the product or about the process that is manufactured the product, because you are just doing the taking a sample and you are making the decision about the whole lot just on the basis of sample. So the less amount of information is generated. Acceptance sampling requires a planning and documentation of accepting sampling procedure, whereas 100% inspection does not. Here you need to do some documentation, because you are going to use some multi-standard and you are going to use some documentation as well to calculate the probability of acceptance. So this is also another drawback of the acceptance sampling. So coming to the sampling, how can we use this sampling? Maybe you can call it as a middle ground between the 100% and no inspection, because some people may ask 100% inspection, which is very laborious, or if you go for a no inspection, that means you are taking the risk. But sampling is basically a middle ground between 100% and no inspection. This is what we in fact looking for, the middle ground situation. Okay, coming to the types of sampling plan, there are many types of sampling, acceptance sampling, but we will be studying about the single and double, but maybe double can be extended up to multiple and sequential. So we will start with the single first, and then we will cover the double sampling, but we will not be covering multiple and sequential. However, you like to use the double sampling plan for the multiple sampling plan as well. So Factor which you have to consider during the acceptance sampling, that is the administrative efficiency, and types of information produced by the plan. If these are the objective being considered in your mind, then average amount of inspection required by the plan and impact of the procedure on the manufacturing flow as well. These are the few factors to consider before you go for the acceptance sampling. Okay, coming to the lots information. First of all, because you do the random sampling, and you have to take care that the lot has to be homogeneous. If the lot is not homogeneous, that means your random sampling will not be possible. You may be biased, having some bias kind of sampling, but not random sampling. Large lots are preferred over the smaller one, and third one is the lot should be conformable to material handling system used in both supplier and consumer facilities. Now, how you can do random sampling is that maybe you can allot every part a number. Maybe this is the length, this is the width, and this is the depth. So you can give the number some random number like length, width, and depth, and you can then use some software, Excel or some other software, and you can do the random sampling. So you can generate the random number, and accordingly you can pick the part in this random sampling. It is not in fact advisable to pick just the sample on the top, or maybe in the front, or maybe on this side. If you do that, that will be a bias sampling. So you have to very in fact careful about the selection of the sample inside the lot acceptance sampling. So this is a very important thing. It should be unbiased and it should be random sampling. Okay, coming to the single sampling plan, how does it in fact is applied to the situation? In fact, this sample is based on a single sampling plan. That means you have to take only one sample, and if you have a lot size of n which has been submitted for the inspection, and single sampling plan is defined by, of course, by some sample number and some acceptance number. This C is, you can say, a cutoff point. That means that I will take 89 sample size equal to 89 out of the whole lot which is having a size of 10,000. The lot size is 10,000. I am just taking a sample of 89 based on the single sampling plan, which we will see later on how it be selected. And the C is basically cutoff point. That means that if I select a sample of 89 and I just start inspecting those 89 product, if I find 2 or less defective, then I will accept the whole lot. If the defective are more than 2, then I will reject the whole lot. So this C is basically cutoff point. That means that acceptance number is 2 or less. But if your number is defective number is more than 2, then all the way you will reject the lot, whole lot. Okay. So we will in fact go over the one single sampling plan which has been taken from your Google, and it is also given at the end of your book. This is for the single sampling from normal inspection. We will study later on what is the normal, what is the tightened, and what is the reduced one. But right now we are just concentrating on the normal inspection, remember. This table is giving you some letter over here in the first column, some letter. We will talk about these letters, how these letters are to be selected, and then this is the sample in fact size. What should be sample size, like for example 2 or 3 or like that, or maybe like we selected in the last one is 89. So, and if you look at this one, this number is basically acceptance number, accepted quality number. This is accepted quality number is basically a number which has been accepted between the consumer and the producer as per the contract. That means that any number which is coming, this is acceptance number and this is the rejectable number. So these arrows are telling you that if you go for any plan, this arrow is going to take you over here now, because inside in front of this one there is no number over here. So you have to follow these arrows. So first of all, we will look into the some further table about the, for example, I want to see there is if I have a, for example, this letter selected, then I'll tell you how to select this letter later on. Okay, but this number, these sample number are to be selected on the basis of these letters now. Okay, and these letters are basically based on, I can just take show over there because maybe you are getting how these letters are coming. Okay, so these letters are coming in fact from the, I just give you one example. Okay, let me give you criteria. Okay, over here look at this one now. This is basically MILTI standard 105E, which we'll be using for the acceptance sampling. This standard was devised in the Second World War and it was released in 1989, and 105A was released in the Second World War, but later on 105E was released in 1989. So this sample MILTI standard can be used for the any inspection, but you may start for the general inspection. Okay, first of all, general inspection level 2 can be started anywhere where you have a contract between the two parties, between consumer and a producer, and you may start with the level 2. For example, if your lot size is 10,000, as we discussed, 10,000 is between 3,200 to 32,000, 10,000. Look at this level 2. So this level 2 letter number is L. So that means this letter L has to be taken care of, and we will look, we'll see what is written in front of this letter L. Okay, coming to again this one, this letter L, once it is selected, this letter L, like this letter L, J, K, L. So you will see what was the acceptance number between you and the producer. So once you have decided that accepted quality level is maybe 2% or 3%, then you can look into that number. So these are the percentages. For example, this is a 5%, and so on. So you can look that accepted quality level, and then you can look what is the C. So this is the C, and this is the rejectable number. C is 0, right number here, but in front of the L you can see different numbers over here, and these number are coming from the AQL. These are the AQL, and these are the acceptance number. AC is basically C, and RE is basically rejectable number. Acceptance number you can say is equal to C. As we discussed, this C is equal to acceptance AC, and in the MILTI standard is written as a AC, but this C is basically cutoff point, means that if the 2 or less is in that one, 2 or less, so in that case, if any number which is 2 or less, so that means this is acceptable number now, okay, against any percentage. So if we take 1, that means that if acceptance number is C is equal to 1, and if you find 2 number found as a rejected number in the sample, straight away you will reject the lot. You will reject the lot if the 2 is found, and if C is equal to 1 or less, then you will accept the lot. Okay. Okay. Look at this one, and this is the sample lot size, and this is the sample size is equal to 2. For example, we want to plot the OC curves. In that case, we want to find out the probability of acceptance using this binomial distribution, because if you look at the single sampling plan, this take care that the in fact the data is being coming from the large quantity data is being generated. So we can use the sample accepted sampling plan for attribute data as to be like that, following the distribution, which you may call it as a binomial distribution. But if you are using a definite, your population size is very definite, then you can use a hypergeometric distribution. But right now our lot size is very big, so we are going to go for the binomial distribution. So we'll use the binomial distribution for finding the probability of acceptance. So it is easy to find out, as you discuss how to find out the probability of acceptance under the distribution of the binomial distribution. Probability of exactly D defective can be found out. Probability of D defective is equal to finding the defective D is equal to n factorial over D factorial into n minus D factorial into probability, which is the P is basically AQL, which P will be, this P will be AQL. As you look at this one chart, this AQL top on the top of that is AQL, accepted quality level. So this P is given to you, and D is defective, which you are observing. For example, in our case, if we have C is equal to 2, that means that if we are looking for the probability of finding D is equal to 2 or less, then we will start from the 0 and we will go up to 2. First we will calculate the probability of acceptance for 0. So we will put D is equal to 0 and n is basically sample size. So you will find out the then 0, then you will find out the 1, then you will find out the 2. So you will sum up all the three and you will come to know that the total acceptance is equal to 0.9392. This is very simply can be calculated using calculator, and because we are looking for the C is equal to 2, so that means 2 or less, maximum is 2. If 3 is found in the sample, that means you will reject, you will straight away reject the lot, but we are going to find out the acceptance probability, that is PA. So that can be found out with the help of this equation. This equation is basically binomial distribution equation, and you can use this for any C. If C is equal to 1, then you look for 0 and this will be equal up to 1. But if it is 3, then 0 to 3. So you can sum up all the probabilities and then you can find out the. That means that with the probability of 1%, if AQL accepted quality level is 1% and n is 89 and C is equal to 2 as per the MILTI standard, then you can find out the probability of acceptance. So if 1 point has been found out 93%, then similarly this 1% is 93.97. Like similarly you can find out the half percent, you can find out the 2%, 3%. You can put up all these values together and you can plot the operating characteristic curves. This whole curve can be plotted with the help of these different AQL number. This can be also called fraction defective, or maybe it is the acceptable quality level, which has been accepted by the consumer and the producer as per contract between them. Okay, now coming to the effects of N and C on the OC curve. Ideally speaking, if you are having an ideal OC curve that which normally not practicable, that would discriminate between the good and bad lot. That means if your production is 1% or less defect, it will be acceptable 100%, but if anything goes beyond that, that will be rejected all the way. That is 0% acceptance probability. But normally when you are doing inspection, you may have some kind of probability of acceptance, not like that, but actually like these two curves. Okay, in this case, if you have an ideal curve which normally does not exist, that is the likelihood as figured in 14.3. Your probability of acceptance PA would be 1.0, mean 100%, at the fraction defective or maybe AQL level 1%, but beyond that it is just a 0 now. But ideally speaking, it is 100%, but practically it may not be like that. Unfortunately, the ideal OC curve like 14-3 is never achieved until 100% inspection is. Yes, it can be achieved if you do 100% inspection. If you are doing 100% inspection, then it is not a lot by lot acceptance sampling is actually not being realized because you are doing 100% inspection. So lot by lot acceptance is the one which is only based on the sample. 100% inspection, yes, if you are doing that, you may get like curve like that. But otherwise, you may, if you are not doing 100% inspection, you may have a curve like that. So how this C and the N they are affecting? Like for example, here in the look at this curve. This is the lot fraction defective P versus the probability acceptance. Here the sample size is N and C is equal to 1. And once the sample size goes 100 and C is again also getting 2 and N is equal to 200, C is equal to 4, that is the cutoff point. So in that case, the curve is, you can see the position of the curve. But in that case, if the sample size is same, look at this one, the sample size is same and the C is in fact coming to first 2 and then 1 and 0, ultimately this curve may look like an ideal curve if you have a C is equal to 0 and N is equal to 89. But similarly, if your sample size is increasing from 50, 100, 200 and then you have 400 and 500, and maybe you have 100% inspection, then your curve may look like a ideal curve. But these curves are not ideal, they are practical curves, and they can be in fact drawn as we saw in that one, in that case now. Okay, coming to the quality and risk decision, acceptable quality level is first of all, the first term is acceptable quality level, as we discussed earlier, that is the quality level desired by the consumer, and it is the contract, it has been decided as per contract between the consumer and a producer. What is the producer risk, which we call it as alpha? This is the probability that the shipment having exactly this level of quality will be rejected. So that means if you are rejecting a good lot, I mean having a just equal to AQL fraction defective, and you are rejecting it, that means you are rejecting the lot which is the in fact type 1 error, or you can say you are in fact giving a very huge loss to the producer. So we can call it as a maybe producer risk. Alpha risk is also called a producer risk. Why? Because who is going to suffer? The producer is going to suffer now, because you have rejected a good lot. But there can be the opposite way also, that you may basically in fact what you can do is you are accepting a bad lot. So that will be a beta risk. Once you are accepting a beta risk, that means that you are going to suffer. So consumer is going to suffer. So in that case, if you are having a beta risk, which is the consumer risk, that is the one in which you are saying that you are accepting a bad lot. Okay. Most often the producer risk is 5% or 0.05, and there are one more term, that is LTPD. As we discussed AQL, accepted quality level, that it is the poorest level of quality we are willing to accept as per the contract, and this is the lot tolerance per percent defective. This is the quality level we consider a bad one, but it is the last chance given to the producer, that the worst scenario we can accept up to LTPD. This is the worst scenario, and this can be more than the AQL. So maybe you can set up a line, the worst scenario line, that if something goes up to here, then we are going to reject the lot. Okay, so this is the kind of a in fact a line, a cutoff line, where you are saying to the producer that okay, if your quality goes up to this level, which is the in fact consumer does not want to accept a lot with more defect than the LTPD, because this is the worst scenario the consumer is going to suffer, and beyond that consumer says no, I will not accept any lot. Okay, the risk as we discussed is alpha risk and the beta risk we have discussed. Beta risk, as we discussed, probability of accepting a bad lot, and what was the alpha risk? That was the rejecting a good lot. That is called a producer risk, and when you are accepting a bad lot, you are going to suffer, so you are accepting a consumer risk. So that is called a beta risk. Okay, so coming to the rectifying inspection. The rectifying inspection basically is the one, for example, you have started the inspection as per the lot by lot inspection plan, and you are accepting some lot, but some lot are being rejected. The lot, those which are being accepted, they are having, of course, fraction defective is equal to P0, which is the acceptable level, which is called AQL, and those lot which are rejected, and rejected lot, what you can do is you can inspect each and every component. You can go for 100% inspection, and if the parts which are rejected in that one, that are thrown away, and you just replace those bad components with the good one. So rejected lot are the one which have been rejected, but now you are going to do some corrective action. You are going for rectifying action. What you are going to do is you are throwing the bad component and you are replacing with the good one. So of course, if you are doing the 100% inspection for that one, for the rejected lot, that means it will be carrying fraction defective equal to 0, because you have already replaced all the bad component with the good one. So now your lot must be having a fraction defective equal to 0. So when they combine together, this rejected lot and the accepted lot together, of course the new fraction defective P1 will be lesser than P0, because this was the accepted lot and this was for the rejected lot. Rejected lot now, right now they have a no defective percentage, so all of them have a very good quality because we have already replaced them. So now the outgoing lot will be having a fraction defective equal to P1, which will be of course lesser than P0. So what is the average outgoing quality once you have started the rectifying inspection? Average outgoing quality is basically widely used for evaluation of rectifying sampling plan when you are doing rectification, as you are doing here, rectification. Average outgoing quality is quality in the lot that result from the application of rectifying inspection. It is the average quality of lot that would be obtained over a long sequence of lot from the process with fraction defective P. It is simply to develop a formula for average outgoing quality. Assume that the lot size n and all the discovered fraction defective are replaced with the good one, all the defective are replaced with the good one. Then in the lot of size n, we have n atom in the sample that after inspection contain no defective, because all the discovered defective have been, in fact what they have been replaced. And similarly n minus n atom that if the lot is rejected, they are also contain no defective. And n minus n atom that if the lot is accepted, that contains how much defective? That is P multiplied by n minus n. So on the average, how much will be that? Average outgoing quality will be equal to probability of acceptance into P into n minus n divided by whole n. So this will be your average outgoing quality after the applying the rectification plan, because you are combining accepted lot and the rejected lot together. So this is the formula to calculate average outgoing quality. So average outgoing quality is basically a kind of a thing you can say here in this example, that suppose n is equal to 10,000 and sample size small n is equal to 89 and C is equal to 2. Assume that this cutoff point is 2 or less than 2, then incoming lot of a quality P, suppose this P is the incoming quality lot, that is the acceptable quality lot, AQL, you can call it AQL, and now you want to find out the probability of acceptance as we did earlier with this one. In this example we calculated that it was equal to 0.9392. so this is the, suppose P is 993C, and now you want to find out the probability of average outcome quality, that is 0.01 multiplied by 10,000 minus 89. Now average outgoing quality is just 0.0093, that means 0.93% defective. This is the average outgoing quality. Note that the lot size n becomes large relative to the sample size n. So we may, if the lot size is very high, then this n can be neglected, and divided by n it will become 1. So if the n is very high, then your AOQ will be equal to PA divided PY into A, and this factor will be just subtracted. This will be, if this is divided, then you will get equal to 1. So you will be left over with the PA into P if the n is very large. So this is the another case when the lot size is very big. Okay. Coming to the average total inspection, this is another criteria, another measure to rectification plan, which we did rectifying plan. This is called ATI, average total inspection. This is the average inspection total inspection required. If the lot quality is suppose between 0 and 1, and the average amount of total inspection would be vary between the n and n. If the lot is of quality P and probability of acceptance is PA, then the average total inspection will be equal to, as per formula, n plus 1 minus P A into n minus n. So this is the formula to calculate average total inspection. For example, in the previous example we had capital N lot size equal to 10,000 and the sample size 89, and the cutoff point was 2 or less, and P is equal to 0.01, which we call it as accepted quality level. Then since P is equal to 0.9397 as we did earlier, so we can find out the ATI. This was n is equal to 89, and we can find out the ATI becomes 687. Remember, this is the average number of units inspected, average number of unit total inspected over many lots with fraction defective p is equal to 0.1, as we did with this, we started with this problem now. So this is the in fact total number of average number of units inspected over many lots. Okay, coming to the double sampling plan. Double sampling plan is a procedure in which we, under certain circumstances, a second sample is required before the lot can be sentenced. That means you are giving a second chance to the producer. You sign a contract between the producer, being a consumer, that okay, if some number is found in the single sampling, we will not go for the second one, but you give him a second chance that if in case of N1 the sample size which will be on the first sample and C1 is the second number of the second acceptance number of the first sample, then you will go for the second sample. You are giving him a second chance, and then you will decide, you will find out the another number, acceptance number, cutoff number, C2. So you can see here the example. Suppose N1 is 50 and C1 is 1, and N2 is 100 and C2 is 3. That means that in this double sampling, what we are going to say is that if first you will take a sample, first sample as N is equal to 50 and cutoff point is equal to 1. If you are you are meeting this criteria, there is no need to go on second sample. However, you are giving a second chance that if you are finding C is equal to 2, then what will happen? Then you will go for the second sample. Then in the second sample, the C2 is equal to 3 means that the C1 which was found in the first number, and then you will take a second number and you will sum up the both one. The C2 is basically sum of the defective found in the first sample and the second sample together. So this C2 is basically cumulative of the defective found in the first sample as well as in the second sample. So you sum up the both one defective, and if they come up 3 or less, then you will accept the lot on the second sample. And if this C2, if the number of defective in the first sample and second sample together, if they are equal to 4, then you will reject the whole lot. Coming to this this chart, I think this chart should be a very important chart, and in your book it should be understood. This gives you a very fair idea about how to go for double sampling plan. For example, I start the inspection on a random sample with N is equal to 50 from the lot which is having a D number of, I observe the number of defective. These are the observed number of defective. I will compare with which one? C1, as per the acceptance sampling plan, single sampling plan. If the C1 is, but right now I am following the double sampling plan. So in double sampling plan, C1 is also mentioned and C2 is also mentioned. Look at this one, this chart. For example, this is the accepted quality level AQL 1%, and this is the for example, look at this number. This is C1, this is C2. This is rejectable number 1, rejectable number 2. This is acceptable number 1, acceptable number 2. This is C1, this is C2. And first sample is 125, second sample is again 125. The total you get a N1 and plus N2 is equal to 250. So you are looking for the C1 and then you are looking for the C2. Now coming to this chart, first C1 has to be compared with D1. D1 is the observed number of defective. If it is less than equal to C1, then we will accept the lot and we will not go for the second sample. But if this number of defective is more than C2, which is in this case equal to 3. If your defective are more than 3, then straight away you will reject the lot even on the first sample. No need to go for the second sample. Here you have decided on the first sample. No need to go for that, because that observed number of defective was so big that even it was greater than C2 cutoff point, which is C2, which is the second sample number. This C2 is for the second sample. If this number of defective goes beyond the C2, you will reject the lot. Okay. But if this defective D1 is in between 1 and 3, if it falls in between 3 and 1, then what will you do is, What are the scenarios? For example, you go for the second sample, and second sample is as per the double sampling plan. Second sample is 100, and in the first one is about 50. The second sample you take equal to 100, and you again observe the number of defective. Now you find out the number of defective. You found out the number of defective in the first sample. You find out the number of defective in the second sample. Sum of the both the defective and compare with the C2. If that is less than equal to C2, which was equal to 3, then you will accept the lot. But if D plus D2 is more than C2, the C2 more than C2, you will reject the lot on the second sample. This is the procedure for finding out the probability of acceptance. So if you are asked to calculate the probability of acceptance of the double sampling plan, so you will first calculate the probability of acceptance of the first sample, and then you will find out the probability of acceptance of the second sample. So you will sum up probability of first sample plus probability of the second sample. So you will sum up both the probabilities, and that will be the total probability of acceptance of the double sampling plan. So let's go to the multi standard 105E, which is the I told you the standard developed in the Second World War, and it was released in the 1989. So if you want to find out the some acceptable quality level which has been decided, and you want to go for this one, then as I discussed, then this is the switching rule for the normal, tighten and reduce. As we discussed, normally we start with the normal inspection, and normal inspection, as I discussed earlier, that you start with the normal and you start with the level 2. Level 2 is this one now. Okay, look up these letters which are coming in front of the lot sizes, and suppose you go for the normal inspection, and what you want to do is that you want to see whether you should continue with the normal or you should go for the tightened one now. If you want to go for the tightened one, how it that you have first of all 5 consecutive lot being observed, and you find that the 2 out of 5 consecutive lots are rejected by you as a inspection person, as an inspection engineer. So you find 2 consecutive lot, 2 lot out of 5 consecutive lot you find defective, then you will straight away switch from normal inspection to tightened inspection, because normal inspection is different and tightened is different. So all the charts which you have seen, these charts are for the normal inspection. If you go for the tightened one, this chart will be totally different, and if you go for the reduced one, this will be again different one now. So I have just shown you here a chart which is called normal inspection plan. So here you will in fact go for the tightened, and tightened has got a different multi-standard. Okay, so in that case, if the 5 consecutive lot are accepted later on, then again you will go for the normal inspection. But if you find that the 10 consecutive lot remain on tightened inspection, the producer is still producing very bad lot, and these 10 consecutive lot remain on the tightened inspection, then you will discontinue the inspection. Why you will discontinue? You will tell him your quality is so poor that we don't want to carry on anymore, and you will totally discontinue the inspection, that because the quality is very, very poor. But in case you want to go for the reduced, how you can go for the reduced? If production is steady and 10 consecutive lot are accepted, 10 consecutive lot you are working on the normal, and in the normal if the 10 consecutive lot are accepted, that means the quality is very good. So there is no need to follow the normal rule. So you can give him relaxation, and you could go for reduced one. The reduced is a relaxed part, relaxed kind of a standard. So in which the you can see that now you have established some confidence during the 10 consecutive lot under the normal, and now you can give him a chance to go on the reduced inspection now. So in that case, how you can go for the normal again? If the lot rejected, any lot is rejected, and you will again tell him, okay, now again we start with the normal one. So normal inspection is, as we discussed earlier, that it is the one which is being following the, in fact, procedure which is here level 2 inspection. This is called the normal inspection level. But we have also some special inspection level now. So if you want to go for the level 1, maybe you can also go for level 3, and if the you want to see that whether we should go for the level 1 or level 3, these are also in fact have certain criteria, and if the poor quality is very poor, then you can go for the level 3. But if your lot size is very small, and you can go for a small sample sizes. So here the sample sizes will be small, and you will go for S1, S2, S3 and S4. These are called special inspection level, but they are not be applicable to a small lot sizes now. Okay. Now coming to the as I told you, the switching rules. Switching rules are very important, and this is the all the detail which we have discussed in the previous slide, and this is in the written form. As I already discussed in the whole chart, there is no need to discuss it again, but if you want to understand, this whole story is mentioned over here also. Okay, coming to the now this chart I already discussed. Now I want to do one example on the double sampling plan, how you can solve the problem if numerical problem is given to you following some double sampling plan, how you will go for that. Suppose the lot size is 3000 given by the following parameter: n1 is equal to 40, c1 is equal to 1, r1 is equal to 5, and n2 is equal to 80, c2 is equal to 5, and rejectable number is 6. These numbers have been in fact found out by the some criteria which we discussed earlier, because these double sampling plan gives you RE number, RE1, RE2, C1 and C2. These numbers are already in fact traced as per the AQL and as per this letter L. This letter L, as I discussed, you will start with the level 2 as per the, look at the again level 2. Let me show you the level 2. Okay. Okay, level 2, letter L. That means the lot size was given to you 10,000 lot size was given, so you go for the letter L. This letter L basically comes from the lot size, and once you find out the letter L, then you can see the double sampling plan, and in that double sampling plan you can see in this double sampling plan, let me show you, once the letter L has been traced out under that level, then now you can see what should be the N1, what should be the N2, what should be the C1, C2, RE, rejectable number, R1 and R2, because this all depends upon letter L, and this letter L comes from the previous chart which I discussed under level 2. Okay. Now let's go to the example which we discussed earlier, that is this example. So this is P is 0.03. This was the AQL level, and you find out this data from the double sampling plan. You want to find out the probability of acceptance of the double sampling plan. As I discussed earlier, you will first of all you will find out the probability of acceptance on the basis of first sample. So if you look at this first sample, says C1 if is equal to 1 or less, you will accept the probability, you will accept the lot, and that will be 1 or less. You will just apply the binomial distribution, and if D is equal to number of defective is less than equal to 1, you can find out the probability, that is equal to 0.663. So first you will find out the 0, then you will find out the 1, you sum up both the 1 and you will get 0.663. Now how can we calculate the P of A2? This is very tricky concept, PA2. In fact, this depends upon the combination. If because your C2 is 5 and C1 is equal to 1, but if in the first sample you find out number of defective D1 observed to be more than C1, that is 2. If the defective of find out equal to 2, in the first sample, then in second sample should be how much? It should be 3, because C2 is 5. So in the defective observed equal to 2, and the defective observed in the second sample equal to less than equal to 3. So total becomes equal to 5. So in that case, you will find out the probability of acceptance. And what can be the second scenario? Number of defective are found equal to 3, and in the second sample equal to 2, 3 and 2. So total become again 2 is equal to 5. And what can be a third scenario? Third scenario can be that the number of defective found in the first sample equal to sorry, it should be here, I missed it. It should be 3. It should be 3, and then the second should be 1 equal to 2, and the last one can be what? That is number of defective is equal to 4, and number of defective in the second sample equal to 1. So 4 plus 1 equal to again 5. So basically I have done some mistake over here. I have missed D1 is equal to 3. So look at the 3 probabilities. You will sum up the first one, second one, third one, and you will sum up the fourth one as well. So total probability should be equal to 0.2259. So here is some mistake. You will find out the D1 is equal to 3 and D2 is equal to 1. Okay, and here D4 is equal to 1 and is equal to 1. Okay, 4 plus 1 is equal to 5. But 1 has been sorry, I think nothing has been missed. Okay, nothing has been missed, because you are saying 3 plus 2 is equal to 4, and then in the first sample D is equal to 4 and D2 is equal to 1. So nothing is, I think, missed. It is okay, no problem. So you can sum up the 3 probabilities, and the answer is equal to 0.229. Now second probability, acceptance probability, has been found out 0.229, and the first one is equal to 0.263. You can combine together the probability acceptance combined is equal to PA1 plus PA2, and that is equal to 0.889. So 88.89% will be the probability acceptance for the second sample. For the double sampling plan, in fact, double sampling plan means you are taking 2 samples. Okay. Coming to the OC curves, there are 2 types of OC curves. So far we have studied type B OC curves. Type B OC curves, what we have studied earlier was all type B OC curves. What is the type A OC curve? Type A OC curve is basically the one when your lot size is finite. Lot size is finite. But when the lot size is infinite, the bigger one, you can use the binomial distribution. But if your lot size is finite, you will not go for the binomial distribution, but you will go for the hypergeometric distribution. So in that case, probability of acceptance based on hypergeometric distribution, this comes out equal to the lower one. N is equal to 500 and N is equal to 50, C1 is equal to 1. This is a type A OC curve. This is called type B OC curve. And if this sample size is N is equal to 10% of the lot size, right now it is 10%, 500, if you multiply by 10%, you will get 50. So if your sample size is N over N is equal to less than equal to 10%, then type A and type B curve are virtually indistinguishable. Like you can see here, they are very close to each other. But if your N is not 10%, then of course this OC curve then will look like this way. Okay, so type A and B OC curve become indistinguishable virtually when the sample size is less than equal to 10%. Okay, otherwise this two OC curves can be separated. They can be distinguished very easily if your lot size are a different one. Okay, coming to the these are the OC curves which have been shown, behavior of the OC curve, how in fact OC curves are dependent upon the N and C. Here you can see we have kept the C constant. C is equal to constant, but we are increasing the N sample size. So N is 50, 100, 200, and maybe over 400. Ultimately, you are coming, when the sample size is increasing, you are coming to 100% inspection. So 100% inspection means your OC curve will be ideal OC curves. So here again, if your N and C both are changing, here N is 500, N is equal to 550, C is equal to 100, N is equal to 1000, and small n equal to 100. And here you can see that the sample size is basically increasing. Here you can see it was 50, now it has gone to 100. So, but it is still 10%. Here you can see 10%, it is also 10%. So again this curve is getting a downward trend, and it is going to do a you can say perfect discrimination between the good and bad lot. And perfect discrimination means that the OC curve will be a ideal OC curve, which we discussed earlier. Okay, so this is the in fact the all over what we have discussed. We have discussed what is the lot by lot sampling plan. We discussed that they do not build quality into the product, but rather they are the auditing tool in the inspection. So instead of going for the 100% inspection, this is the middle ground in fact. So multi-standard 105E, which was developed by the US Army Department of Defense, and it was in fact used in the Second World War, and we have used this multi-standard 105E for the lot by lot acceptance sampling plan, and this was being used basically to put a sentence, or maybe you can say a disposal on any lot. And we also discussed that how OC curve they discriminate between the good and bad lot, and what was the effect of N and C on these curves, and how these OC curves B and as we discussed B OC curve and AOC curve, how they depend upon the N and C. So this was all about the today lecture. I hope you will try these numerical at the end of the book based on single sampling plan as well as on double sampling plan. Thank you very much, and I hope you will understand whole the lecture. Allah Hafiz.